4th March 2026, SEBI released a new circular today, and if you manage an AIF or advise one, this directly changes how you report to SEBI. The quarterly grind, well, that's getting a major overhaul. But here's the thing, is this change actually a good thing for compliance, or is SEBI quietly losing some of the sharpest tools that it has in its arsenal to catch fund level irregularities? Let's break all of this down in this video. Hi everyone, I'm Parth from Navigate AIF, and we are a legal tech company on a mission to break down complex SEBI regulations into actionable insights. So let's first understand the old regime. Every quarter, within 15 days from the end of the quarter, so this would be 15th April for the March quarter, 15th January for the December quarter, etc., AIFs had to submit a quarterly activity report, the QAR, to SEBI on the SI portal. And this wasn't some light touch filing. This report has granular detailed disclosures. Let me go through one sample QAR of a category 1 AIF for your reference. So I wanted to go through a format of a quarterly activity report to help you understand how detailed and granular this report actually is. So this is the SEBI template. You can see there are actually three sheets here in the workbook, and you have to do data entry here, and then there's a data validation file as well. So when you see this, see the amount of information that SEBI asks, right? So there's a login ID, you have to give the details of the scheme, PAN of the AIF, registration number, legal structure, etc. Basic details about the sponsor, manager, trustee, custodian, RTA, many more information such as number of schemes taken on record, details of the compliance officer, details of key management personnel, their DIN, DPIN, date of appointment, all of this, co-investment information, brief details of the scheme, when did they file final PPM with SEBI, date of SEBI communicating PPM on record, launch date, close date, all of this comes in here. Details of tenure as well, when is the tenure ending, extension of the tenure, have they gone into liquidation period, have they received consent for liquidation scheme, just in case they have proceeded for a liquidation scheme. Then there is details of liquidation scheme if you have proceeded for that, details of in specie distribution, mandatory in specie distribution, capital raised, and this is also super granular, like how much commitments have you received at the end of the quarter, gross cumulative funds raised at the end of the quarter, cash in hand, NAV of the scheme. So calculation of investable funds is also done. You have to tell what are your investable funds, total commitment received, calculate investable funds. For listed equity, whether concentration limit based on NAV. So all of this you have to fill. Details of temporary investments, transaction on RFQ platform, details of investors. You have to give details of exactly which type of investor has committed how much to you, even how much have you raised from each and every type of investor. This could be domestic, NBFCs, foreign investors, etc. There are specific types given in here. So all of these have to be provided. Details of consent received from investors in case you have sought investor consent for any action item. You have to even specify the purpose in case you have sought purpose, if you have sought consent for any specific proposal. This could be extension of term, investment in associates, frequency of valuation, etc. Details of borrowing by the AIF, details of pledge, complaints, arbitration. For category 3 funds, there's even more details like net asset value, gross long positions, gross short positions, leverage, exposure after offsetting transactions for hedging. So then again, date of breach of leverage limit in case they are taking leverage, date of reporting the breach to custodian, reporting it to investor. So you see, with these kind of granular insights, you can catch many easy non-compliance that are done, like there is a requirement to report it to the custodian by 10 a.m. the next day and report it to the investors the next day. So you come to know whether it was followed within the timeline specified or not. Details of valuation, details of fees and expenses, warehouse investments, all of this. So this tells you how detailed the QAR was when SEBI actually introduced this, and how easy it was for SEBI to find out non-compliances basis of QAR. Having understood the details of the QAR, it's important to go into what exactly the recent SEBI circular changes in the QAR and in the reporting requirements. So you can see the circular here, it's talked about where the requirement of filing a QAR comes from, which is regulation 28, read with clause 15.1.1 of the SEBI Master Circular. AIFs are required to submit activity report to SEBI in the format specified, and they have to submit this. Presently, all AIFs are required to submit the report on quarterly activity basis 15 days of the end of the quarter, and in the format that IVCA has on the website. Also, the current clause, that is 15.1.1 of the Master Circular, actually provides that in case of any revisions in the reporting format, the revised format shall be made available at least 1 month prior to the end of the quarter. And accordingly, reporting format has been reviewed and changes have been issued. So to improve the ease of doing business in India, the frequency of submitting report has been reviewed in consultation with the standard setting forum of AIF and a working group constituted by SEBI on ease of doing business and reducing cost of compliance. So they have recommended to reduce the frequency of reporting by AIFs. So SEBI has now decided that AIFs will submit a comprehensive annual activity report at the end of March in each financial year, as I was saying in the start. So this happens at the end of March within 30 days. This has to be submitted by all AIFs online on the SI portal within 30 days, 30 calendar days. So this is 30th April, that's the specified timeline from the end of March every financial year. The first annual activity report shall be submitted for the year ending March 2026, latest by May 31, 2026. So for the quarter ending March 30, 2026, you do not have to submit a QAR by 15th April. Instead, you will be submitting an annual activity report by May 31, 2026. And going forward, this has to be submitted by 30 April 2026. So just for the first year, the timeline is May 31, 2026. But otherwise, for every year, so in 2027, the deadline would not be 31 May 2027, it would be 30 April 2027, because the requirement is 30 days from the end of March of every financial year. Now, a limited quarterly activity report. So the quarterly activity report still hasn't gone away. A limited quarterly activity report shall be submitted by all AIFs online on the SI portal in a revised format within 15 calendar days from the end of each such quarter. So the first such report, the limited quarterly activity report, now will be submitted for the quarter ending June 2026. No separate submission of quarterly activity report will be required for quarter ending March of every year, as the annual activity report includes the data points of the quarterly activity report. So now the quarterly activity report will only be submitted for 3 quarters in the year. For the quarter ending March, in no year do you have to submit the quarterly activity report. Instead, you will be submitting the annual activity report, and it already includes the data points of the quarterly activity report. The revised reporting formats, this is the format of the annual activity report and the quarterly activity report, will be available on the website of the standard forum, that is IVCA, within 3 days from the issuance of this circular. So this circular has been issued on 4th May 2026. So by 7th May, we should have these formats, and IVCA shall assist all AIs in understanding the reporting requirements and in clarifying or resolving any issues that may arise in connection with the reporting to ensure accurate and timely reporting. This circular also supersedes the provisions of clause 15.1 of chapter 15 of the Master Circular for AIFs. So I'll just quickly go through what clause 15.1 talks about. This clause is very simple. It just talks about the quarterly activity report filing. You can see the clause here. It talks about submitting the quarterly activity report by 15 days of the end of the year, submitting online through SI portal. Industry association shall assist AIFs, and again what we saw before, that in case of revisions in the reporting format, this would be put up at least 1 month prior to the end of the quarter. Now let me give you my honest take on this circular, because I think there are some important nuances being overlooked in the celebrations about the reduced compliance burden that this circular brings to the industry. The old QAR was operationally heavy. I fully agree with you, no question about that. However, it also had a built-in compliance engine. Just think about it. SEBI receives granular quarterly data such as capital raised, investments made, borrowings. We showed you the entire QAR. So they can run some fairly straightforward checks. Are the investments made outside the permitted investment strategy? Are the investments made within the investable funds limit? Are the borrowings within regulatory limits? So they can run all of these checks and find out, as an early warning, they can get early warning signals whenever the fund is breaching any such regulations. However, with the switch to annual compliance, the issues may not surface until May the next year, which is almost 13 months later. So this also raises an important question about the PPM audit, which is the annual audit of the private placement memorandum, and this is already a key compliance checkpoint for all AIFs. With quarterly reporting being thinned out, a lot more weightage is going to be placed on the annual PPM audit to surface these fund level issues and regulatory non-compliances. So managers now need to treat the annual PPM audit with even greater seriousness going forward. There's one more thought that I want to put out there just in case SEBI is listening. So there's already a compliance test report that AIFs have to submit to their trustee annually within 30 days of the end of the financial year. This covers the checklist of regulatory compliance parameters. Now we also have this new annual activity report that will be filed by AIFs. These two separate annual filings are going to overlap significantly in scope. So wouldn't it just make more sense to merge it into one holistic annual compliance and an activity report? A single well-designed filing that has both operational activity data and compliance test parameters submitted once on the SI portal or to the trustee as SEBI sees fit in a standardized format. That would genuinely be ease of doing business win rather than layering a new report on top of an existing one. This circular is effective immediately. So if you manage an AIF, please mark 31st May in your calendars as the first annual activity report submission. Watch the IVCA's website for the revised formats which are due within 3 days of the release of the circular, and make sure that a compliance team understands the quarterly filings. While lighter, they aren't going away entirely, so they still have to make quarterly filings. I'll make sure to keep you updated when IVCA releases the new formats. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button and ask any questions that you have regarding this in the comment section below. Thank you.